June 2024. All three selectmen present, the town administrators here. Leo Martell is video recording for the public, and then Nickerson will upload them. And we have our town clerk here today with us, and other members of the public. We have some old business here to take care of the previous meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 30th, 2024 as amended.
I'll second that, I thought they were well written.
Motion been made and second. I want to thank Lean for putting in a bunch of changes of the wording that we had done at our meeting there to make it correct. And motion been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. While they're signing that, I'm gonna open up for public comment. Anybody here from the public? Leo
I
Martell,
just
go
wanna
ahead
thank
first.
Fred Mullen for stepping in while I was out.
Okay, thank you, Leo. We appreciate it when he's here. Some of these video is always helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, can you state your name for the record?
Mike McGarry.
Yeah?
Is this public comment for the whole meeting, or?
We'll do another one at the end of the meeting, so.
Okay, I'm here kinda for the road stuff.
Okay, well, why don't we wait till the road stuff is up on the
Yeah.
agenda? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll close the public, comment section right now. And we'll go to town business. We have the town clerk first here for some appointment paperwork. For Kelly, Wardman, as an alternate of the Conservation Commission, as recommended by the chair, Brett St. Clair. Thank you, Jennifer. I'll make a motion to appoint Kelly Wardman for the Conservation Commission, term ending March 2027. And it was noted already that the chair, had recommended this.
I'll second that.
Point of order, she's an alternate.
Oh, yeah, that's correct, an alternate member of the Conservation Commission, thank you, Mike. Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good catch, Mike.
Yeah, teamwork.
Okay, you got something else you need here for us, don't you, Jim?
Yes, it is dog warrant time,
Oh, boy.
so. In a while, we have sent out twice as many emails as last year's reminders, we open it up early. And we snail mail the letters, and now it is time to issue warrants, if you're in agreement. There are 3 copies, so I'll give you each one. The
Okay,
list of citizens, dog owners is confidential, and that's stamped that way. We have at least 900 dogs in town, I believe now. We issued over 950 licenses last year.
Wow. Awful lot. Just out of curiosity, if I came in tomorrow, if I was on that list, I came in tomorrow, what would I have to, I have to pay the penalty? What would I have to be owed in addition to?
You'd be paying exactly what people started paying June 1, who hadn't already. And so that's what they currently owe as far as the license fee. And any,
That's
if they
always-
were,
yeah,
depending on how late they are, if it's a renewal, then it would just be $1 for being late. If
Okay.
it was a dog that's new to them and they hadn't licensed and they've had it 6 months or something, then
Yeah.
there'd be additional late fees. And then the civil forfeiture is $25.
Okay.
So they'd be paying all of that.
Okay.
poor dogs. This is the worst part of my whole selecting job,
Yeah.
arresting the
I will
dogs.
leave this with you.
You got signatures on all of them.
What's that?
Sometimes I'll miss one, but you got
Yeah, public
signatures on all of them.
Yes, 3 signatures on all of them. So, thank you very much. We'll see that
You're
the
working,
police
you're working with the police
department.
department,
Yes, yep, so they will be getting copies of the signed warrants, and Dean has a copy, and I'm keeping a copy.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Did you leave this by, did you want me to keep this?
That can go to Lean as well. And I had a couple extra blank copies that printed, so that's why I didn't know if anybody, if you're all set, I
Yeah,
can
I'm good.
recycle.
That's perfect, thank you. What else, anything else, Jen?
You can keep it if you want. That is all for tonight.
Okay,
Thank you
how's,
for squeezing me in early.
no problem, how's your department going, good?
It's going well.
Okay, thank you very much.
How's that
Thank
new,
you.
desk clerk working?
I'm very grateful to have somebody who's already trained.
Alright, take care,
Thank you.
good answer. Okay, town clerk is gone, and we've got a couple of minutes to fit in, so I'm gonna try and do a couple of things out of our, mailbox here, just to keep things rolling for a few minutes. I'll do the loose ones we just put in at the back here.
Okay.
Okay. We had a question for the, what's the name of the meeting? I'm talking about the,
Joint
Tom.
loss?
no,
Town first.
town forest.
Oh.
So we had a question for our town forest, for the town attorney, to make sure that the wording on our warrant article, last year allowed them to negotiate and purchase that piece of property, that 44-acre parcel that was, landlocked. And he did say that the wording wasn't perfect, but it does take care of us, and we do not have to have an additional meeting at the town, at town meeting time, so that was a good letter to get back. We thought we were covered in, getting that clarified, for them, for the
So if
town
you guys
forest.
wanna negotiate, you can buy it
Oh, yeah.
without
Okay,
going to town
so
meeting.
that's all set.
Okay.
Alright, I have another letter here from, we had reached out a couple of times and leaned it on previous years to Granite State Solar, with some footings that were, dropped apart and actually making some of the solar panels rub together before they get cracked or broken. We'd like them to address it, and they said that, their maintenance department kind of let it go, and they're gonna follow up on it next week with us.
Just wanna ensure that the transfer station manager has enough adequate notice that they don't call them an hour before they wanna get out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna do another one here, Fred Mullen was nice enough to meet with the town of Bow, and they reset the monument on our town line, with a surveyor. There's some pictures here, and, it shows the Dunbarton monument set there. I guess it was, loose this year, so that was good to see that got taken care of.
And Bo did agree to pay for 50% of the bill, so as soon as I get that invoice, I'll,
Wanna send a thank you to Fred from the Selectmen?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna fit one more in, try and keep this meeting rolling here.
Do you wanna accept that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll make a motion to accept a grant from New Hampshire Fish and Game in the amount of $1,080 to fund the extra proposals for the OHRV park areas. And we need to sign a couple copies of it.
You made the motion, I'll second.
Yeah, motion been made and seconded. I did read this grant. And,
I was gonna say, it's a similar grant to what they've used in the past,
Yeah,
however, this
we've
year it's been reduced.
we've had it, yeah, we've had like 3 or 4 years that they've been applying for that grant.
one thing that I didn't realize, I read this from cover to cover, cause I had to sign it as chair. They did it on the opening days, which is, I think, very important. I think they sent away 24 people that were unregistered, so they were coming to ride in the park without registration. And just gave them warnings and sent them off to get registered properly. They were mostly out of staters, which was good. And, but they did over, 300 checks of registrations and let people know that they are gonna be out there, they're gonna be monitoring on occasion. So everybody coming in those parks those first few days when it first opened, which is some of their biggest days, know that there is gonna be a town, face up there, so I thought that was pretty good. So I had signed this during the, meeting when I came in earlier this week. I think I'm gonna make a motion to
it's on the table.
So the motion's on the table already,
Motion is seconded.
and Justin second, motion been made second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Your signature's good? Just one signature?
Yeah, it was only one, but it was signed in like 30 spots, so I figured I'd
Okay,
get her going.
thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Okay, being 7:10, I'm gonna open up the public hearing, for the 2024 road projects throughout the town. We have the road agent here present tonight. It is 7:10 PM, so I'll open that public meeting up and we'll give it to the road agent to let us know his projects.
Yay, big projects, the first one is, Ray Road, we're finally gonna get that after delaying it several years, finished. We're gonna reclaim it, add some gravel, widen it out a few spots. We did extensive drainage and work to it last fall. We had some time, so we did as much as we could go with last year, except for ripping it up. So that's what's gonna happen, they're gonna put a layer of asphalt down, it will be the base course, 2.5 inches for this year, and then next year we'll put the top coat of 1.5 on. We like to let it set a year, and then if there's any imperfections show up or whatever, we can deal with them. And it kinda spreads the money out a little bit, the expense out. So, the other project is over on Montalona Road, as you know, there was a section that we skipped over. Basically from County Road roughly until where I'm gonna call it the condos, I didn't remember the number, but the road's very uneven, it's got quite a tip to the right and left, changed a couple culverts and messed with the grade there to get the best we can out of it. It's a tough spot over there.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's gonna require some extensive work, and we will be closing that road during the day for several days when we're doing stuff over there, because there's no, you can't really do what we have to do to that road. Can't maintain traffic and let the cars by.
Are you gonna send them through county or up around Morrison?
Well, that's not really gonna get you past the
No.
part that they'll have to.
Go up Morrison, then down through,
Yeah, go around the other way, but it will only be during the day anyway, it wouldn't be nighttime or evening or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna throw this out there like 7:30 to 5 or something like
Yep.
that.
You can use the website to,
Yeah, and we'll put signs up ahead of time, we've got signs that we put up that spell that out. But I'm sure you'll hear some grumbling anyway, but there's just, we can't maintain the traffic and do what we gotta
hey,
do.
we've heard grumbling over the years, wanting you to do that road, so.
Well,
now
no,
you're
but I
doing
mean, it's just, and as you know, you guys drive it, you two all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's in definite need of that work.
And it's, some extensive work has to be done to it.
Yeah.
Not a big section, but it needs, so, and it's just too hard to maintain any kind of traffic.
Now and then, are you gonna pave just that section?
You will pave, yes, we'll pave that section with a base course again, and then do a top course next year.
Now, will you, top coat it from end to end when you're done, or just that
No,
section?
cause we just did last year a good portion of it.
Right,
Basically from the condos up to, I don't know what the name of that, they used to call it Candlestick Hill or whatever,
Yeah.
when the pavement gets good again.
so you'll do it just that section and do that
Yes.
over? Okay.
That's the plan. The rest of it's really pretty good.
And I noticed you did a substantial amount of work on County Road the last
Yeah,
year, so.
We've did a bunch of widening out to that because it's becoming more problematic with the traffic and, you know, obviously, it would've worked good for a detour, but it's gonna miss
Yeah,
the point, which is unfortunate, but it's given us a hard time in the winter, so we made it, so we could,
I went down it for
plow
the
the
first time
snow
there,
and put a layer of gravel on it and
looks
stuff
much
like that.
better, yeah,
Yeah, it makes it so we maintain, I don't think anything like that's really been done.
and it's crowned nicely.
Yeah, and, you know, just over time, you get the buildup of leaves and debris on the side, which makes it hard to. But we have been doing some of that stuff already this year, I mean, before the road hearing, we got off to a later start with this than we usually do, but, for different reasons, and, that's that. The other project, what we will probably be working on at some point, but will be later in the year, is over on, Kelsey Road. You know where that is, don't you?
Yeah,
We've gotta make a turnaround around there, and we've got some other work to do to the road, which we're gonna do that after these major projects are done, and see how the budget holds up and where we got to go. We as you know, tried to get in there last fall and do some work, but it didn't work out, so everything's in place now and we can do it, and that's the goal. And that's not it's not a through road, we wanna get these other two done by school's closed, cause that does help out with the limits of traffic.
Is, the tree guy scheduled over there for Kelsey anytime soon, or not really?
I gave him a call and told him it's ready, let me know when he wants, cause he can come in and do that basically anytime. We're gonna cut some trees on, while you're on that subject, we're gonna cut trees on Guy Hill Road. I
you are?
believe it's in July, they're gonna take all those trees out for the widening project. That was part of the exaction fee for the
Yep, I remember that.
subdivision on that. Roadside mowing throughout town as usual.
Yeah,
You know, all the town roads, John, our subcontractor, John Wigan, goes around and mows all the grasses, whatever brush he can get back, and whatever other brush and trees on an as-needed basis. Our roads are really in pretty good shape, we spent all that money on paving them and stuff, I mean, there's still always some maintenance to do to them, but
I wanted you to speak, Jeff, I know you guys did a substantial amount of maintenance this spring.
Yeah.
Shoring up the edges of the road
Yeah.
all throughout town.
Yeah.
I know some people are starting to see some washouts now, but we're gonna have that with these heavy rains in the
yeah,
summer.
it's just inevitable.
Tomorrow it's gonna happen all over on us again, you
It
know?
may, yeah. it
But
may.
you guys did do a substantial amount of
Yeah.
work this
It
spring.
doesn't, like you said, it's kind of an ongoing thing, you're just part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but.
We've got one email concerning washout, that's gonna be passed to you, just take a look at it.
Oh, yeah, I already heard about that, and we went down there and filled the thing in, it was the end of the world. I understand there was a video what came with it too, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
when
have you
it's in-
watched the video?
No, I have not.
It's good to
I did,
watch,
I
and
did.
I think it's an eye opener, it's what we have to deal with.
Right,
When you see this water coming down the edge of the road, it's like,
We have
I,
hills like that throughout the
I
town.
can't stop the water, we just have to deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
And this particular gentleman doesn't have the best situation, he bought into it, it wasn't something that he did himself, but they made a drive under garage, it's in the Gore Pond area, made a drive under garage and it's lower than the road,
oh boy.
so right out of the gate, that's a tough scenario. And, you know, that area as a whole is tough because, as you all know, we've had this discussion 100 times before, it was camps.
And
And
it's
they've
at
evolved,
water,
yeah,
it's at water level.
yeah,
pretty
and
much.
no, it's camps and it's been evolved into full-time residences. And a lot of these lots was nothing on them and now there's houses on them, they're more substantial houses. And with paved driveways, more roof lines and all that, it's turned in more runoff, impervious layer. And unfortunately, people are very limited on those lots down there, so they tend to grade and do everything down to the road. So we end up with all the water from the lots and it ends up running down the road and it's just, it's not much you can do. I mean, the roads aren't wide enough to put adequate ditches and stuff in. And the people wouldn't want that because we have a wide right of way, but the road's only like 18 feet wide and then, you know,
You'd
you're
be right
disturbing
up to
their lawns and land, which they do maintain, which helps us out in the long run because it keeps it maintained to the edge, but you have problems. And like I said, these torrential downpours, as you know, really and the videos really will give you a good
Is
eyeful.
Is that, drain blocked, or is that just going over, cause it was such a
What
substantial
happened
amount
with
of
that
water?
drain where it outfalls is in a person's yard and they have covered over the end of it and landscaped their whole yard. So for me to get that totally unplugged, I have to go over and argue and make them mad at me. Dig it all out and we gotta clean it out. What happens now, the water goes down and it turns in there and it kinda pools and stops for a minute. And it backs up a little bit on top of the road, but it seeps into the ground.
Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but,
But with drains, you can't, you don't inspect drains every day, you have to be told that a drain is plugged. In other words, you're not
it's
lying.
been plugged for a couple of years,
Okay,
it's full of sand.
But any other drain, like, you have to be told and you'll respond to it.
Yeah, but this one, we're well aware of the situation, we've known
Okay.
about it, it's nothing new. It doesn't affect this particular property that the guy was worried about the washout on the side of the road. I talked to him this morning when we were down there patching it, he explained our deficiencies on when we did the road work and stuff down there, but as I told him, we're not gonna reinvent the road, it's what it is. And, unfortunate, but.
Well, thank you for responding.
Yeah, we just kinda, we do
Until the next rainstorm.
like a knee-jerk reaction when we have an incident, like the house in front of your house.
Right,
They got covered with leaves, we have to go out and deal with it.
Yep.
You never know when it's.
at least the owner was out there in the water digging out the leaves
Yeah,
too.
he did, he jumped right in, I turned my back, and the next thing I know, he was right out there, so I didn't have to do it. I was gonna get some taller boots, but he jumped right in for me, so I gave him an attaboy and off we went.
He was very happy, by the way, just like, your response time, he was ecstatic.
Oh, yeah, when we got the call, we went over and checked it out, like I said, we were out there, and I was, yeah, I'm gonna go get some taller boots, and next thing I know, he waited right out there, it was cold too.
So it was waist deep.
Jeff, we got a member of the public that came in for your road meeting,
Yeah, yeah.
might have some questions for us.
I have some questions and some concerns on Ray Road.
Name and address again,
Mike McGarry, 44 Ray Road,
thank you.
and we've met before.
Yep.
We had a similar water problem that we fixed by putting a reducer on that oversized pipe, and it's just slowed it down a little bit. But there's, you know, like, he does the best he can to mitigate situations. Question, so Ray Road, how wide is the new road gonna be?
The pavement up until the gravel pit, which is, or not gravel pit, it's a processing pit now, right by your house is gonna be 24 feet of asphalt, and then after that, it's gonna shrink to 22.
Okay,
Cause we're gonna maximize that, cause there is substantial amount of trucks going
Okay.
in and out.
and it's gonna be 2.5 inches thick?
2.5 inches of base course, and then 1.5 inches of top course.
That's, the top course is next year.
Yes.
So
So-
when you,
Yep.
when you asphalt 2.5 inches to the driveways of all of us that live on Ray Road, will there be a lip, like?
We
snack
will,
lip
we
to
will
2.5?
take a milling machine, and they will grind the edge of it and feather it down into it.
Okay,
There'll be a transition, but,
but there won't be a lip like?
no, there won't be a 2.5
You can still
inch.
plow
yeah,
or a apron
Yeah.
or.
No, there won't be, if you're thinking like a 2.5 inch lip,
Yeah.
there will not be that. That's what we do, we take the time to machine all the paved driveway joints and blend them in the best we can.
Yeah,
We, typical road construction standards, basic 101 is you build the road, then you bring the driveways to the road,
yeah,
because if you start trying to match the driveways there, you end
oh,
up
yeah,
with a
yeah,
lot.
right.
So,
right,
we do the road and then we do what we have to do
Yeah.
with a paved
right,
driveway.
as long as the plows don't damage,
Is your driveway plowed, paved?
yeah,
Oh, I couldn't remember if it was, but yours will be one of those that we do.
yeah, yeah.
And the gravel ones, we just back them up.
Yeah, right. Lost my train of thought. So, that road is on the tax roll for the tax increases?
No,
Railroad?
that road was not, but that's a road that Jeff's been working on for many years, trying to upgrade, and he does a certain amount each year.
Right,
And what he's telling us is he's doing the base coat this year and
No,
doing
I
the top coat
understand
next
that.
year,
Okay.
so.
okay.
That was not part of that
So that money
original.
has not been allocated for?
No, this is coming out of his general budget that he
Oh,
was.
general budget, okay.
Yeah, that wasn't on that list
Alright.
of bonded roads that we
Right.
shimmed and overlaid, this
Okay.
needed more work, so we used our regular operating budget, which is
Right.
construction.
So, and I see you have the signs, it'll be one way, you're not gonna stop the whole road,
Oh, no, we're gonna we'll maintain traffic.
so we can get in and out.
Yeah.
And there is a
And
way-
anybody that lives on it, we will, I mean, we're not gonna stop.
Yeah, no, right,
We put those signs up to try to limit the through traffic, but
Right.
you live there, you know, there's an incredible amount of through
Right.
traffic.
My neighbors across the street, they've had some health issues and they've had, yeah, Dave and Jeannie Isley's, they've had.
Yep, no, I know.
multiple-
Yeah,
So I'm asking for them, and they're gonna be blocked in, I'm
Oh,
gonna
no,
tell
no,
her
no,
no. Okay. Secondly, I have some concerns about, Site One, who runs the facility next door.
Yep.
There's hundreds of truck and trailer semi-trucks, 70-footers, that come in and out of that every week. Every week, and they carry 80,000 pounds. They are the ones damaging that road from 34 Ray down to Stagecoach, Stage Road, or whatever it is.
Yeah, we've heard some similar things about.
Yeah, I mean, it's, 24/7. They can't even they have to go in the other lane, oncoming traffic to get out of there, and they have a huge,
Well, it's not
Driveway.
24/7, right? They
They're
have
like-
hours.
huh?
They have hours, it's not
Oh, they have no
24/7.
hours. They might have a sign that says it, but nobody does anything. They're all, I mean, sometimes they spend the night there. Trucks come in, now we're talking semi trucks that are huge, biggest trucks
I've seen them,
that can be on the road.
I've seen them, they're big.
The weight problem, they're just gonna continue to damage that road, so whatever money we put into it, it's gonna be an ongoing battle. So, I suggest that we try to limit that traffic from them. They originally were only supposed to work from 7 AM to a certain 5 days a week, and it's 24/7, 7 days a week, trucks coming in and out. They had to widen their road, which comes all along my property, like 1,000 feet of my property in the back. And, I don't have a problem with the business so much, I have the problem of how they're conducting it, and there's no accountability.
Have you spoke to them about it?
Oh, I speak to them all the time, I'm constantly out there. It's the drivers that come in and out. They're from Maine, they're from Connecticut, they come in with a full load, soil, dirt from the highways, toxic, I mean, it's bad.
Well, Lean, can we,
So
for our next meeting,
I know
can
we're
we
here
just
to,
review their hours of?
I know we're here to
operation?
talk about the
Building should
road,
have
so
that.
I don't wanna,
Yeah.
we can have a discussion.
That's okay, I'm gonna review their hours of
we'll-
operation and
yeah,
at least talk about
Yeah,
that.
we'll see that, because if you look back on the minutes, when, Merrill had it, it was a pit, there was nothing coming in. It's totally not even a similar facility.
I mean, he did have stuff going in and out of there.
Yeah, but not like
It was
this.
less, I'm sure it
Not like
was,
this.
yeah.
Now, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of trucks a week,
Yeah.
24/7. My next concern is, when we have the road weight limits.
Yeah,
The
springtime.
freeze-thaw area time. They don't stop.
I gave them permission this year because, as you know, it wasn't gonna hurt that road any.
It's not gonna hurt the road.
It wasn't gonna hurt it this spring, the condition it's in.
Oh, okay, well, that's
And we
your
knew we were
guys'
gonna
fault.
grind it
That's your
out.
guys' fault.
I mean, I touched base with them and explained it all to them.
Yeah.
And we
And
leave
they
that to
did,
the road
and they
agent.
did,
You
and
can't
they,
defer to that, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that 80,000 pounds of weight on, I don't know what class that road is, but it doesn't support it. You can see the road is failing, and it will continue to fail. Next question was, the Dunbarton PD says they don't enforce it. So all those 12-ton, and a lot of towns are less than that, 6, 8,
They don't enforce what, sir?
the 12-ton limit. So that's something to think about, because as we're putting money as taxpayers into our community, into our roads, the road agent says, hey, this is 12-ton time, these people need to respect it, especially because they don't live here.
I know our road agent has been diligent following up on,
Nothing,
in the
we've
past.
met, we've had a couple of issues, but I have full respect for him.
okay?
the history of that pit, a guy named Morris Layton started that pit back in the 80s.
Yep.
And it was an active pit, and then, Kevin McDivitt bought it and ran a low-level pit, very low-key, it wasn't very little activity went on there, and then F.L. Merrill and Son out of Concord bought it, and then it became more active, but it was sporadic. Occasionally, they would get a job in the area and they would haul materials in and haul materials out,
That's what I remember.
but it was kinda sporadic.
But not with truck and trailer, semi-trucks.
Typically, it was a
We're
tri-axle
talking
trailer,
dump trucks.
it was a
One at a
tri-axle
I
trailer.
mean, these are like 70-some footers.
Sir,
Oh,
one
sorry.
at a time.
Oh, I'm sorry,
We're
I
looking
thought
at-
I was,
And they did not use it to the rate that Site One is using,
Yeah.
I'll agree to that. But occasionally, they would do a lot of work, and then it would die off, it could be months before they hauled again. And where I'm going with this is, they were always respectable of the 12-ton limit. Site One, which used to be Dirt Doctors, it's the same organization. up until this year, they were always respectful of it, but this year when I talked to them, I said, hey, just don't worry about it too much. The people indicated to me that they would back it off a little bit when it was the worst, and I don't know for sure whether they did or not. I didn't sit up there and count the trucks. I got a lot of other stuff to do, but I told them that it would be alright this year under the circumstances.
I think we'll start off, we'll review the hours to refresh the board, and then, maybe we'll call that owner in for a discussion about it at least. But we'll do that in another meeting.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm there all the time. I mean, there's right of ways
Yeah.
4 feet off my property line. So I have cameras with the wife and kids, you know, we have cameras, so I can see how many trucks, all hours of the night. The thing is, dirt doctors, Keith and those guys were cool. Site One is the largest manufacturer and distributor of landscape products in North America, US and Canada, so they're huge. And you'll probably talk to someone that, cause Dirt Doctors is working there, but Site One is putting all the money into it. So as far as limiting the hours, that is a good start. But maybe they can pay for some of the road work.
Well, we at least wanna see that they're operating within what they're supposed to be for hours.
Okay. Okay,
So we'll start there and
I
then
appreciate that.
see how things develop from there.
I'll let the neighbors know that too, thank you.
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
go ahead.
So he kinda addressed some of what I was gonna say, cause, I had a few people talk to me that live on that road.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of trucks, and I was just curious, although that probably would have been done when I went before the planning board. But isn't there a possibility, like some communities have a bonding when they have a major impact like that on a side road, that company bonds in case they damage the road? And I don't know if that's possible there, or is it too late, or, you know, what that situation is. Just curious, Jeff, if you've ever.
I don't know in that situation how that works. Typically, the only thing that I'm aware of with that is if you had a short-term project, let's say a logging project or something, that you know you have a start and an end to, that they're gonna start on such and such a date, and it's gonna be several months. A lot of times, a town will or can have them bond that road for that period of time, in case there's, you know, any damage that occurs during that time. On an ongoing basis, I don't know. I don't know how that would
But-
work.
Maybe that should have, or could have been brought up, you know, when they had, the, planning board.
I think I was sitting on the planning board when that went through, Jeff, and it was you know, when it was originally discussed, it was a little smaller operation, as Jeff has talked about, and so we'll try and look at the rights of the land and what they had requested then, and start the process, you know?
Yeah,
Look
I
into it.
wish I had kept better notes when I was, in the construction industry, but there's a couple of towns that have these huge paving companies that are off on a side road, and they were able to get an agreement where if there was some damage to that road, and it was attributed to their operation, that the bonding that they put up would cover some of that cost, so I'm just curious,
The
you know,
one problem we
if-
have now is, as Jeff stated earlier, the road they were using was already in poor shape before they actually started the heavy hauling, so it's not like, you know, now that we're gonna have the road up to grade,
right,
you know, then with something for.
but I mean, you were anticipating repairing that road
Yes.
at any time, so I'm
Yeah.
just curious if we missed this step, or maybe nobody ever thought of it, or maybe we couldn't do it, you know?
Well, and sometimes some things, you know, they start at one level and they ramp up and you have to relook at it, so, you know, we'll start that process.
And
yeah.
just for correction, my name's Robert Martell,
Perfect.
Everett Dam Road.
Thank you.
I wanna add to that, yeah, I was at that meeting too when Dirt Doctors was pursuing that project, and it was originally to be a recycling facility for chips, like mulch bark. where the trucks coming in were bringing leaves, branches, wood, okay? Since Site One took over, it's become they have all the loam topsoils, all that, so they're bringing in soil, brought in thousands and thousands of yards of asphalt and lifted up the pit, brought in excavation material, and they have a completely different operation now. They've got industrial electricity underground through the wetlands, widened the road through the setback wetlands, so when you're searching for that, when they got approval from the land use permit that the state sent, the town of Dunbarton sent us, and it was approved, it was under the assumption that it wasn't going to be that much different than Merrill. So, you're right, it has changed from the original approval.
We kinda get off on a side street here, we're not on the roads anymore.
Right,
so
right.
I would like to get back to the roads, we've kinda heard you, and we'll
Yeah,
take some
okay,
steps.
that's it, thank you.
Anything else on the roads from the public? Okay, Jeff, hearing none,
Okay, yeah, I just had another thing.
on roads?
Nope.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing on the roads,
Awesome.
and we're closing that at 7:36. Thank you, everybody, for your comments about the roads. Jeff, do you have anything else for us tonight, or you all set?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
Here,
problem.
thank you.
Okay.
Can I
Moving on unless the
You
road.
wanna ask me a
I would
question?
like to ask him a question, update on the truck and or the new full-time.
Update on the truck,
Yeah.
the delivery date is still September,
That's it.
whatever.
This year,
Yes.
okay,
The delivery date I got was September something. Didn't wanna advertise for an employee till it got till the end of the summer, a little closer, for a couple different reasons, and we've got a few people that have heard about it and showing a little interest. So that was kinda what I was hoping might happen. I think it must be my charming personality for sure.
Well, yeah, right, there you go.
No, that's what the plan was, closer to when the truck was coming and everything to make it a little more cohesive. And a lot of people, I don't know how it's really gonna go once we advertise it, but
okay.
I don't know, have you heard anything, you guys out in the workforce about getting workers or
I have heard some
positive things?
positive interest about that
Yeah.
position as well, but nobody.
Yeah.
hard set people.
No, but exactly. No,
You
it's
know, I
like-
think we're the right sized town, I think that somebody looking to.
I don't know. It's-
I think that, I think there's a
It
lot of things going
seems-
for it.
Well, I've been talking to the other, like Bo and other things, they have secured the people that they were looking for, so there's not 8 or 10 positions available for that individual, so that, I think in my weird way of thinking, that might help us out a little bit. I don't know if
And
that's.
then looking at the transfer station, we've had more opportunities coming
Oh,
out there
good.
as well, so I
Good.
think you're in a good market right
For
now.
myself in the private sector, I mean, I've had more people applying and
Oh, good.
more traction, I got more employees this year than I did last year, so.
So there are
I mean, I think
people that are looking for employees.
Yeah, still
so-
looking.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Maybe that'll work out well for us. But yeah,
Seems like people are a
They-
little more realistic this year as opposed to last year, people were asking for
but back
way
to
more.
the truck, the scheduled date, September 18th is something's delivery date. I touched base with a salesman a couple weeks ago and, he's a salesman, he told me, yeah, we're on schedule, he hasn't heard anything negative, like, I haven't got a panic call that they can't get certain
Yeah.
parts to the truck and
Yeah.
it's gonna be delayed.
COVID
Every-
was bad. and
Yeah,
it's-
there was
couldn't get
some of that, so now, as far as I know, everything's on schedule of delivery, which
Thank
is
you very
good.
much, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But and like I said, there were no panic stories about we can't get rear tires for it or frame rails or anything like that. It was, cause they build this thing from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's all I got on that.
Okay, thank you very much for
Yep.
coming in.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. I'll see you
Okay.
later. Have a good night.
You
Thanks,
too.
Jeff.
I don't see Margaret Watkins here, so I'm gonna go on to the,
Are you
land
at Five Rivers?
conservation property, 5 Rivers.
This gentleman here is with Five Rivers.
Yeah, I
there's-
recognize him.
Yep.
Oh, here I am over here. Okay,
His name's on email. You wanna address it?
Robert, nice.
yeah, Robert Knight from Five Rivers is here. We have a conservation easement, for the Lane property up the road. We've kind of, been all about this, I've read it cover to cover pretty much, this week when I came in. Lean had made a note with the surveyor that some of the acreage, isn't shown as left out of that conservation easement properly,
And he updated on the last map for us.
and he's updating it for us.
Yeah, with two that are taped together,
Yeah.
that's the most recent one. And you can see the acreages have been
Corrected?
updated, corrected, and then he said there's only a few monuments that he has to set.
Okay, so what it was is the acreage that was left out wasn't left out on the totals. It was including the entire property, so we wanna have that map corrected.
Yeah, which I think it is.
Yes, yep. So, that being said, this needs to be signed by the chair of the board, I believe, for the conservation easement to go through.
I think there's a page for him, for Brett,
Yep,
a page for you guys.
yep. And I didn't have any more, questions about the conservation easement, did either of the others?
No, I think Lean alerted me to the discrepancy on the site map, and so, I'm glad that's corrected.
It's been corrected.
Good.
Now, I did not print the signature page, I can do it on a single, you probably want it on single side.
It is on here,
Yeah, but it's double sided,
oh,
so I could just quickly print it if you're planning on signing it.
I was going to, yep.
You were?
Single sided would be
Yep,
good.
okay. I know how the registry is, they want.
Yeah, and if you read the whole thing, I gotta give you credit,
Yeah, there was a lot of wording in there,
a lot of work,
but towards the end of the easement, it kinda got more, generic, so.
yeah.
But I did read the beginning part, letter for letter, all through the stuff that was more important to this property.
Yeah.
Got a question from the
Well,
public?
where's the Lane property?
Okay, this property, was the property up the road, and it's across from the town pound just about.
Oh, okay,
And, who was the previous owner of that? It was
Les Hammond.
Les Hammond.
yeah, right, okay.
Property, and they had a couple of cornfields out there before that, the Stones farm was taken care of,
Way back there?
all
Yeah.
the way back.
Yeah, right,
Nice
okay.
sized fields too.
Yeah, no, I've been there,
Yes.
And, one of the Lane's, sons has a home out there that he's
Right,
living in, so they
okay.
took
Alright,
4.5 acres out for his home out of the easement.
yeah,
And, the nice part about it is Mrs. Lane wanted to make sure that there was a parcel that the town could possibly purchase in the
Right.
future
yeah.
for town expansion, and they set 16 acres aside
I remember that.
that weren't in the easement that could do that.
So how big is that easement?
The whole parcel was, I think, 154 acres. They took 4.5 acres out for him and 16 acres out for that town parcel.
Okay.
And,
35 or something?
yes, 134.27
Yeah, nice.
is the balance.
And what's especially nice, I think, is that, Mrs. Lane's donating the conservation easement,
Yes,
which is
Very good.
pretty nice.
that's awfully nicer, and,
Yeah,
and
very
it
good.
also attaches to the Kerber
That's what I was gonna ask.
easement. And not just that, it goes down and attaches to the Stone easement.
Right, that's what I thought.
So
It all
it's a
converges
substantial
into that,
parcel.
yeah.
Nice, very
We're
nice.
very happy to have you in there, and, you know, because she was donating, I had some questions to the Conservation Commission early on, as you might remember. I was wondering why they got Five Rivers involved in it, and they said, you know, they had done the parcels around it, and not just that, your help doing the proper paperwork
Yeah,
is substantial.
and someone has to hold the conservation easement.
Right.
Which is what Five Rivers was.
Yeah.
Towns, conservation commissions sometimes hold the easement,
Yeah,
but I'm from Hopkinton, and on the conservation commission, you know, they're usually not really set up to enforce it or hold it.
right,
Five Rivers has insurance, I think we got $600,000 or $700,000 to enforce it. So if you get a new owner out there who decides, oh, the heck with this, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just build my house wherever or do whatever, we got the money to enforce the,
nice.
enforce the.
Does
Because
that
there are
apply-
some other properties that the Conservation Commission has, and you're right, other than the town taking somebody, which would basically be taking our own taxpayer to court, it makes it a difficult situation.
Does that abut, the property
What's your name, sir?
Lee Martell, on Grapevine Road,
Actually, it requires this.
because,
We did the last.
Stones abuts that piece on Grapevine, I believe, is quite
That's
a
right.
large piece of property there under conservation easement. So that would make one contiguous piece.
Right,
Nice
I'll
piece.
start with where the curb is, behind the school. Should I make a motion?
I'll make a motion to sign this conservation easement for the Lane property in Dunbarton, New Hampshire.
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
And our portion will be done tonight. Lean, you gonna stamp it, sign it?
I will,
Okay.
and then Brett can just swing by, and
Yeah,
Great.
surprise.
any one of us can notarize it.
Yeah, if you can notarize it, would be good.
Yeah, I'll do theirs, but Brett will have to come in and get his page notarized.
Are you
I thought he
signing?
was coming tonight. He's on the agenda, isn't he?
I thought he was on the agenda to come tonight, and Margaret is as well.
Margaret just pulled in.
Okay,
So,
we might be able to get it done. I did pay.
here's our section, Lean.
And I printed the rest of the pages, it's just, I got the important ones here. This is short.
We'll let Margaret come in, but I will, upload her next, okay?
Thank you, sir, for what you do. See you later. Have a good one.
Somebody's willing to donate a conservation easement, I'll help out. I'm a volunteer,
Hi, Margaret.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay, you're just in time, actually. We just signed the land conservation
Oh,
easement,
excellent.
so,
I'm sorry I missed it.
is Brett coming tonight, do you know?
So,
Pardon?
Is Brett coming tonight?
He is not.
He's not.
Brett is an abutter to Sue England, and we were talking about her property, so he has recused himself from this
We were
project.
just hoping to get the signature.
Oh, his signature. Oh,
I thought he was on the agenda, but maybe.
He
not.
Well,
was
he
written-
was just for a recommendation of someone as an
Oh.
appointed individual.
I did expect him to be here too, but did you wanna maybe try and call Brett? He could maybe run up and sign.
Yeah, because, we're all notaries and Joe Marie or myself can do it in the morning and then we'll mail it to you, but if you're looking to take it with you tonight.
Well, we don't have to, but that would be,
We'll make a phone call to Brett and see if he's around,
oh, that'd be great.
if that's okay with Lean.
Yep, I'll run back.
And I'll go on to,
Yeah, you guys keep
I'll
going.
go on to Margaret's items. This side of the world.
oh, shoot. Turn it off.
Yeah,
This is
that's
it.
your Margaret.
Thank you. I moved something out of
You have the talking role.
Where
Well, I
is
think
my,
I shared that with Sue.
Here it is. I was pulling your mic. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Margaret Watkins and Five Rivers, discuss conservation easement on D3-02-01, owned by Susan England Trust.
So, this is Sue
I so,
England, and this is Rob, as you have discussed. And, she's been thinking about conserving her land for a while and has talked with Brett, who introduced her to the idea of conservation easements.
great,
And then a few weeks ago, Rob and Brett and I met with Sue. We talked about easements and explained them and answered questions and decided that that really was the route to go. Both her kids are interested in pursuing this.
oh,
and
great,
so that's sort of how we got into this. It's a very generous donation of the easement value by the England family. And, based on that, the Conservation Commission has committed funds towards the project costs.
great.
And Sue, loves the land, and I figured she could be far more articulate about that, and the house, which is a beautiful house, than I could begin to be, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm pleased to be here and recommend to you what we've just discussed, the idea of putting in a current use. We've talked about this since our family moved in 1983.
Mhm.
Knowing it was a large property, but it came intact with the house, and, it was suited our family so well. I just have to be a little personal now and then, but, our daughter was 10 and was fascinated with horses, wanted a horse in the worst way. And the location was suitable, the barn was beautifully maintained, and all the pasture and the field, there was a hay field already, and riding trails through the woods, so it was ideal for her. And she loved it and pursued horses. To this day, she's a veterinarian
Oh, wow.
in Vermont, is doing very well, and still has horses in her life. And she loved it. But our son also loved the outdoors, and he takes after his Swiss grandfather who loved the outdoors, and he would patch up trails and create one new trail that he thought desperately needed to be put in there, and spend as much time outdoors as he could, and it was wonderful for him. I wish every kid could have that. And we participated in haying and having a garden and, you know, all the usual outdoor things, so it was ideal for us, and we were very, very grateful. And to this day, both of them say, don't let it get developed. Kids need a place to run, or ride, or explore, or, you know, get out and enjoy the outdoors, and it's such a magnificent place. There's 2 beaver ponds, one very big one, which is fascinating, a smaller one that the dam keeps being torn down, and they rebuilt and torn down. So it's lots of interesting aspects to this land. It was once planted in the time of the Depression, when the government was funding planting of trees, and I think it was red pine that was planted in several acres there. It was cut down again prior to our coming, but the stumps were still there, and I still think of that. We had been told as we were buying the property in 1983 that it was not logged or touched in any way, but it turns out that that was not true. The prior owners logged it unbeknownst to everybody, and in fact the whole field was filled with slash and had to be burned. So, and there were other things that happened under the previous owners. The house, the small A-frame house on the property was put in unbeknownst to anybody in town, I understand. J.R. Swindlehurst met us as we were moving in, and he said, was very glad to meet us, very gracious, and he said, I'm sorry about the people that preceded you in this house. And I said, well, when you shake hands with him, count your fingers. So, and then I heard all about a big concert in that field that was loud and attracted a lot of traffic. Hadn't been given notice to anybody nearby that this was gonna happen, so they were taken aback by it all. And so we heard troubles were there on the property, and we have not had any big concerts or anything. So, but we tried to get other people to enjoy the property, our kids' friends, and we do have a pool so we can get people that way. So I'm just very grateful for being able to live in this area and in such a beautiful spot as well.
Yeah, it is a beautiful spot. I used to help Fred Jennings pick hay up in your field there. Fred Jennings hated it for years, I think,
Yes.
till he stopped.
It
But I've hunted out back. It's a great piece of property, beautiful piece.
is a nice piece.
It is great. I'm very happy to have it.
It is hunted by several people.
Yeah.
We've been posting it recently.
Yeah.
So it has been, and we do get some venison that way.
Yeah.
It's very, I'm glad for that, because there's a lot of deer out there.
Yeah, it is a great piece of property, though, I'll have to agree with you.
So that's sort of a summary of the land. The total, as you know, is 91 acres. I'm not certain the exact amount we've agreed on to contribute. As to keeping 3 acres or 4 acres or 5 acres for the farm itself.
Yeah.
The barn, the house and extended, and the A-frame.
Mhm.
That is,
Yeah, actually, I plowed your driveway, I think, for probably 15 years.
oh, did you?
Yeah,
So you know it.
yeah, but generally at night I'd have to plow, but I didn't plow for a long time,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I think,
Maps, for those who are less familiar than Dave.
Yeah.
There's the property, this is Route 13.
and I think, you know, the wildlife corridor, of the wildlife coming out from behind these developments that are in here now, coming up across your property is substantial as well.
Ah,
So it's a great wildlife corridor, you know,
that-
protected.
that's one of the reasons the Conservation Commission was so excited about this
Yeah.
property, is there's a lot of wildlife movement through there.
Huge amount,
It's a
Extensive eye area
good piece
too,
of land.
the deer.
yeah, yeah, they're coming from behind nice. But yeah, that's a very nice piece of property.
We also were attracted because it's the south side of Route 13, and you know, Lane and Kerber are sort of a statement about Dunbarton
Yeah,
coming from the north, and this is, going north. It's a beautiful property, it's a big piece, a lot of frontage, and the house is an old house, and it's a beautiful old house, if you remember it, a big old white
Oh,
house.
it is. And if you look around on this map, does it great justice, it's the last big piece right on that side of town, so
Right.
it's very nice to have that property protected.
I'm pleased to hear that. We
And the
look at it from
Antonios are on the
different
other side, which
Yeah.
have a nice piece and they protect that property,
Yep.
so that's good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a perfect corridor for wildlife to come through. A lot of people don't realize how much wildlife is very close to the center of this town.
It's remarkable,
Yeah.
yeah.
What kind of wildlife have you seen in there?
Everything, bear, deer, ducks,
I
moose,
think
turkeys.
last year there was a talk of, what's the white deer, what is that?
Albino,
No, there's a
piebald.
piebald, and I said, what's
Oh.
piebald? It's supposed to be mostly a pigmentation
Oh,
issue where it's
wow.
just like white. And it was going from Tucker Hill, and I'm sure it was crossing over, because someone reported it in Flintlock Farm, so it's right
Oh,
in
I
that
hadn't heard
corridor.
about that one, yeah.
Our daughter encountered, at Christmas time, there, should be hibernation time, a mother bear in a tree with 2 cubs above her, near the small beaver pond, which is right near Flintlock Farm.
Yeah.
So, that was unusual to have it not
Yeah, I know down by them ponds, the moose are substantial down
Too.
there,
Yeah.
and deer, like you said, are all
Very
over.
numerous.
Yeah. But, that property has a bunch of different mixed growth as you stated, with the different areas of being cut,
Mhm.
and it's very good cover and bedding for the deer, you know, to have their babies in there and live throughout the year. But, yeah, it is a great piece.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
We're very excited to have you in here.
Dave, no special permits for hunting for you.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think
Thank
we
you.
know the program pretty good with Five Rivers now, and, we're happy to have them, you know, writing these easements up and helping the Conservation Commission. I told them before you were here, cause Brett explained to me, cause, you know, I was asking, like not on the Kerbers, but on the Lane property, why do we need Five Rivers, and Brett had explained to me, well, they help write all these up and really enforce them. And like he stated earlier tonight, Bob, did if you ever have to have a new owner in there and they're not abided by the easement, it's not the town taking them to task.
That's right,
It's
these
Five
guys,
Rivers,
yeah. We're not stupid.
which is great to have, you know, so. So that's
It's a win-win for
a
all.
win-win for us, yeah.
Great,
Yep.
great.
And I was telling him, I read this easement pretty much cover to cover the other
read
day
the
when
whole
I was in
easement?
the office.
Wow, gold star.
It's a little bit more generic at the end, but at the beginning, you know, there's a lot of good
Yeah.
points in there about what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do.
I'm kind of curious why you need to research for hazardous waste. What is that possibility that
I
we
would
need
think that
to-
they're probably looking to see if there's any previous owners that had put anything on the property, so that when they take the easement, they're not taking a burden of hazardous waste.
From other people.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I don't think
We're not
that there's
worried about
anything on your property.
Well,
Yeah,
it puzzled me, cause it didn't seem.
No, I always think of Raymond, New Hampshire, don't wanna live in Raymond, New Hampshire, because it's a toxic waste area.
But you know, I'll give you an example, if somebody had a large junkyard and they wanted to put an easement into it, and the people that own it now aren't, you know, an owner of the junkyard, there could be things out there that they would wanna look into before they took over the property.
I got it.
Cause it could be costly if you took it over and then you had to, you
Mitigate.
know, mitigate it,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I can see that.
well, I think that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
only.
okay. Good,
Any other questions for the town of Dunbarton or the board?
No, we haven't really talked about access, we agreed that, there needed to be, and I was kinda curious how that was gonna work out.
You know, one thing I will tell you, the old Route 13 has a swoop
Yes,
down on your lower property line,
yes,
which if that was allowable for parking for access, would keep people away from the homestead, but still allow them access up over the hill to get to that back property without making any new parking area, I think, per se.
yeah.
You guys are all familiar with that little loop, you can drive in there? It's on the hillside just beyond her driveway. You'll see, I think it's still
the
ready to be paved,
lines still go
yeah.
through there, the power lines.
The power line goes through, yeah. So I think that's where some people access it now, and that's where I always access it, it's kinda nice because you weren't going through the field or their yard, you know?
Right,
So I think to have formal access with parking and a trail and all that is really up to Sue and the
Yeah, we
Conservation
haven't really
Commission.
gotten
Yeah,
that far,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
with a donated easement.
yeah.
Gives the person giving the easement a lot of control of what you
yeah,
want.
that's right, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah, well, that all sounds good, looking forward to it, and if you have anything from the board, let us know if we can be a help.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'd just like to say, working with the town of Dunbarton and the Conservation Commission has been very nice and smooth.
Well, that's good, that's great. They're a good conservation commission. I'm not sure what our square footage is now for our town forest and conservation in the other areas, but I'm sure we're climbing up there in the state, because people really wanna protect the land this time.
And what it does is it helps keep the character of the town. I mean-
And this property is so good.
And that, to me, that's important, that people move here, and the thing is, you can only expand it so much, then we become Goffstown, you know, we don't wanna
That's
become
right.
Goffstown.
Yeah.
And not, with all due respect to Goffstown,
Can't take it back now, Mike.
how much acreage is under easement in Dunbar?
I don't know the total, I've read it before, but I didn't retain it, I guess I should tell you that.
It's probably in the town report, we can get that number.
That's all right, I just.
But it's very substantial in this town, between our town forest
It is good.
and the conservation easements that we hold, and then there are other, town properties which are, you know, some of our pits and stuff that are around town that are also kind of included in there.
Yeah, and we have Army Corps, so they've got a big part of the town's acreage that we get flood control money from.
The stone property, is that?
that's an
Yeah,
easement,
that's
that's
an easement.
Five Rivers now.
The Kerber property up here, the one with the big barn, they just did it, and the Lane property is another 134.5 acres.
I just remember the stone property, I walked that when they did that, and the thing is, I got educated how there was a beautiful tavern out there at one point,
Yes, way back,
way back.
way back.
And Dunbarton was a waypoint between here and Montreal,
Right.
Boston and Montreal.
Yeah.
Really?
You know, a big development that was put in on the side of your property was Flintlock Farm. And that developer almost went belly up because the times aren't as good as they are now with the 5 acre minimum. It was a large amount of roads to put in there. And some of those lots ended up being sold very cheaply because they just couldn't get the money for them after they had built that road system, but, you know, that was one big chunk right next to yours that, you know, could have been a lot different.
Yeah,
But I think we're fortunate to have the 5 acre zoning, at least those are fairly large
well,
lots.
yeah. We were sorry to see it go in,
Yeah, I bet you were,
Bet.
but, yeah, they did a good job.
yeah. Well,
Great.
thank you, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
okay, and if you have any questions, get in touch.
Roman,
Yeah,
I left a message with Brett, no answer on his phone or cell, so I printed it off and left the message that we're here and we're notaries,
Okay,
and then I'll just mail it to you, the whole packet.
right,
I printed all the pages.
Yeah,
Single
we
sign.
don't need the whole pack, we just need the 2 signature pages.
Oh, okay, very good, yeah.
hey, Margaret, thank you guys for keeping us in the loop.
I'll give you
That's
one.
great.
Yeah,
When you guys-
Thank you.
If you give me a flat.
Yes, yep, I got it, yep.
That was one of the conditions, we asked Brett, keep us in the loop of what's going on in town.
yeah, well, that's why we're
So,
here, yeah,
perfect, A+.
yeah. I'll tell him.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in to get out.
We can do it.
Hey, Margaret.
Hi, Rob, I could pick that up tomorrow if it's important to have in hand. It's good to do
No,
it if it's not.
terrible.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, I'll make
Thank
sure
you
it's in
very
a
much.
yellow, and keep it straight, and then put it in a large envelope.
And great job, I've been trying to get those plans for 2 months. And you, told
Magic.
Chuck, and 2 days later I got the plans.
She knows how to move things.
Thank you, same here.
Okay. Moving on with the agenda now. I've got a transfer station, hiring to go over with you guys. Woody had met the first time, cause I couldn't make the first appointment, and I actually thought it was kind of good, to have him meet with people and kind of, I'm gonna start doing it more, have him do the initial review with the person, if they look good, I'll do a second review with him. So we met, Greg Rule, he's a younger individual, he lives just a few minutes from the transfer station in Bow. And, he looks like he might be able to step up and do some of the, computer work and some of the running of the equipment that we haven't quite had the person to fit in there. I don't think having the, commercial driver's license is something right off the bat, but,
Is he trying to just as an attendant or as an assistant manager?
what we're gonna do is, Woody and I discussed this, and we wanna bring it in front of the board for hiring as an attendant. And what we're gonna do, instead of, we had hired several people as managers or assistant managers and tried to work them into the job and not quite had everybody fitted. And then we're paying somebody up here at this level that is doing an attendant job.
Right.
So our thought was, we'll bring him in as an attendant, he was happy with that. Give him some place to go by doing, working him as assistant.
No,
Woody's-
work into it.
Woody is gonna meet with him and try and work him into the schedule of doing the payroll and entering the amounts. And getting the computer work done and also to give him training. He does have, forklift training, he does have compactor training. He did sorting at his previous job of metals, different metals and wires and
Is he going
stripping
for-
and all that.
Motivation for this job, going from full-time to part-time, or?
The other company had sold out, so he's, happy with the hours.
Okay.
And, he said he'd work as many as we needed to if he was on vacation. He has worked with some people running underneath him before. But he's a young individual that I think could step up into it and, do the right job for us.
Okay.
And I know that, just being down there more with Woody, the guys that are there, they love their jobs now, we have a great crew. They all wanna work, around 32-ish hours, guys a little bit less hours per week. They're happy with their hours, they don't mind working a little bit more some. But with the amount of work down there, 3 guys in there it's running them pretty hard. And they've not asked for any Saturdays off, but this guy will allow us to have
Flexibility.
some flexibility and cover for Woody being gone on vacation, we talked about more hours during those weeks. But he seems like a real good fit, so,
Based on your recommendation, I have no issues with that.
yeah, so based on the recommendation, Woody and I recommend to hire him at the transfer station, part-time attendant, at level 1, which is $18.39. He was okay with the hours, the money coming in, he has good transportation. And, that being said, we thought that it would be a good thing to sign him up, and I had Lean call for his appointment for a physical. To get it, Woody is off next Saturday coming up, so we'd like to have him working at that time. And basically, there's 1 full day of paperwork when you first get hired, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have him in
Try to
this
get him
week
in
if we
on
can.
Tuesday, cause he's scheduled for Monday.
And let's make it happen, we agree, Justin?
you know?
I
So I didn't think there was anything to
consensus.
be a non-public about, cause it was,
No, I'd say consensus, make the hiring.
Well, you have to make a motion, don't you?
Yeah.
He already made the motion.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Excellent. It sounds like a good prospect.
Yeah, and, you know, we were thinking, maybe we'll just go the rest of the summer with 3 people, it's way too tight.
No, the thing is, one person injures himself, and the thing is, it's hard work in the summer, and when you're not talking about, there's health limitations to some of the workers too.
And you know, we've had people coming Saturdays, and Saturdays have been just bonkers lately. And, Wednesday nights, people are coming in at, you know, right at closing.
Right.
And so you gotta stay an extra 15 or 20 minutes longer than you wanted to, or planned on. And, so it all adds up, and I think having one more person, I'm not sure how that goes to his budget, but I think next year we should look at making sure that the budget,
Oh, I think he
Fitz
did,
having
no,
those
I think he's
people.
doing good, because he let those other two go,
yeah,
and so he should have no problem, but I'm worried about his overtime budget too, keep
we already
watching.
took care of that.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we don't, well, he cut back significantly the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and, you know, as he trains this guy, it might get some more, but we've been watching it at the town level here, and I think he's right where he needs to be for halfway through the year.
Okay, good.
Okay, that section's done. Going on, we have a request. There was a request that I just heard about today to use the hearse and Old Home Day Parade.
This was from my, I took a call from a citizen, Mr. Roger Rice, excuse me. He would like, he says, he wasn't sure who has control over the hearse, but it'd be such a part of his, first of all, let's go back a step, okay? He's been enamored with the book, Where Settlers' Feet Have Trod. He brings it to his, he brings his book around, and people love reading the book. And so he ends up giving the book away, comes up, buys another copy from Lean. Say, another week goes by, he comes up, buys another copy from Lean. He's done that 3 times. First of all, he would like to volunteer to sell some of those books at election day at the town, at the election, at the polls. He would be more than willing to help sell to spread the word on the good things. One of the things in that, they talk about the hearse a little bit in there, I believe. And that got him going, because he saw the hearse, basically the door was unopened, the window was unopened, it was getting weathered with rain. He called one of the cemetery trustees to close it up. And he feels it's the hearse is such a piece of history that we should show it somewhere. And the thing is, he doesn't know the logistics about it, so he'd like to throw that out there as an idea to, let's bring it out, maybe Old Home Day, display it. I think that would be a great idea, but it falls under the cemetery trustees, and they need to authorize it and probably work on it.
I think there's a huge discrepancy in who that actually is. It's been a big point of contention on the board since I've been on there 6 years or so. Cause I think Lee and a group of people.
Not me,
Well,
but I know the group of
the
people.
group of
yes.
people, I'm aware
Historical-
that restored it, and I don't
Yeah.
know the full history of it, but
We had the
anytime
discussion.
nothing gets mentioned, it's like, we slam the brakes on. There's nothing that can be done with that thing. So,
The thing is,
I don't know if anybody would let that fly,
I think if we don't do something to share the history with our residents, such as the book, as an example, the book, it's part of our history, I think it'd be worthwhile to share it with otherwise, we throw it in the transfer station.
Well, the thing is, listen, you're wrong there.
Okay,
So the problem is though, is weather.
agreed,
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
whether-
weather permitting, but you could have a spot shower like we did yesterday,
true.
okay? Are they gonna be pulling over horses?
That's the whole thing, I don't know.
That's not good.
Yeah.
It's like, Dave and I had this discussion when we were talking about the roof, when we were over there with the roof, and
Yeah,
I
it
said,
was about 2
that's a
years ago.
museum piece. Now, Gail and Donna Dunn went throughout the state looking at all of these hearses prior to this, prior to taking on the project. Not one town allows people to take that out. Now, years ago, they did take it out and put it on a flatbed. And took it through the parade, and then they had it out here for people to see. The problem, like I said, is weather permitting, because if you get a spot shower,
It hurts,
it's not good for the thing, it's a museum piece.
yeah.
Yeah, it's insured too.
Well, it's
We have it
insured, but,
We have it insured,
I know, but,
and the gentleman that did our appraisal said it was one of the better
No, I think this,
Purchase that he's ever seen.
the citizen is just brought up, Roger has brought up as a citizen of Dunbarton.
Right, I get
It's
that.
just, it's sitting down there and it's not getting any exposure to the public.
Well, one of the things, Mike, that we had suggested a few years back was, how about taking it out of the carriage house once in a while and leaving it out in the middle of the cemetery so people can see it?
Right, but you get the same problem, the potential for a storm.
But it's right there,
Yes, you can go right back in.
not in the center of town here if it starts raining,
Gotcha.
you know?
Put it under a tent or something?
It's a museum piece, you
Well,
know,
the
you
other thing
can't,
too is you either gonna have some sort of rails, kinda like we have at.
yeah, because
voting
people are gonna
around.
climb on it and.
Right, it's not
You know?
designed to have kids running over and
Right.
breaking stuff off.
So that's why we had suggested possibly, I had suggested a few years back, building a granite ramp to get it out of there.
Right.
And you could set it out in the middle of the,
I thought you volunteered to build the ramp.
I was going to, but somebody stepped in, somebody from the cemetery trustees, one of those cemetery trustees stepped in and took it over, so I stepped back.
I'm throwing the idea out on behalf of the citizen. and
Right,
it's-
I get it, but you know, years ago also, way in the past, the select board was, thinking of letting people use it for cemetery, for funerals.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you can't be doing that. And they said, well, how about if just selectmen can be buried in it? And I said, no, you can't do that either, because that's like saying the king can do it, you know? So.
I don't think I can fit in it.
No, you wouldn't. Well, even if you were cremated, you probably wouldn't fit.
Oh, jeez,
Nice,
come on,
nice.
But the point is, I'm trying to get at is, yeah, I know it's insured, but that's a museum piece, you know?
You know, it might be, don't they open up, the old schoolhouse and they open that for once a year?
Well,
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
You're
they,
talking about the
Historical-
other historical.
the other
Yeah,
historical site, they open up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it'd be worthwhile, maybe that one day a year when you have that nexus of all those historical
They
things
should
open.
call it.
Well,
the
yeah,
other
and I agree.
historical
That's what I'm saying is if you, you know, if you could advertise it's gonna be out in the center there, and of course, somebody would have to be watching that thing.
Right,
But that way people could go and view it. That window that you said it was open, well, it might have been open, but there's no rain gonna get in there because.
no, but again, that was just an
a
observation
slide.
by someone.
It's
Yeah.
a slide window, it's an
It's
observation
just,
window.
yeah, the windows is stationary, it's sealed, and then there's a sliding door in front of it, so people can open it and look at it.
Okay.
See? That's the way it works.
I threw that out, I just thought we could come up with a better way of letting the public enjoy it.
Right.
Well, I
and-
see one thing that he is wrong about, is it is there and there is a window to view it.
Okay.
So it's not hidden in a barn somewhere,
Right.
so it is there, so people can read the book and they can appreciate it.
They can go look at it if they're interested.
I was gonna say, they can contact us and
Yeah,
we could.
but I mean, the other option is, as I said, put it out on the lawn, right by the Hearst house, and people can go and stop and look at it, and then put it away. And it doesn't have to be every Saturday, you
No,
know,
I think
whatever
it's,
time you can do it.
Hardly ever.
But even Roger suggested, maybe once every 5 years, take it out so people can take a look
I
at it.
don't have any white
You know,
gloves to.
It could
to
be
go
like,
around that
like
thing.
he said, it could be
I
once or
thought
twice
it's
a
like
year.
when they do the blacksmith open house.
Yeah,
that would
right,
be
once or
the-
twice a year, you put it out there and, you know, and so people can see it.
If they're interested.
And the thing is, like I said, if, it's right there, so if something comes up, they can put it away.
I like that idea.
And
so.
somebody,
That's a great
and
idea.
whoever
Would you have
decides
granite
to.
for the ramp?
Excuse me?
Would you have granite to make the ramp?
Would I have it?
Did you?
No, but I had locations,
Oh, what the heck, we should do that.
I had
We talked about
locations.
that years ago, but.
Right, I had mentioned it, and one of your cohorts there decided that they were gonna do it, take care of it, so I said, okay.
You
do
know
it.
who the chair is?
Yeah, well, that's a new guy, yeah.
Why don't you meet with the new chief?
Well,
Alright, well, can I just throw that on the table, I'm gonna put it into the, well, who owns that right now?
What do you mean?
The town.
the town
The
owns
town
it.
owns it.
Yeah, we technically own it, but.
It's managed
I don't think-
care is the cemetery
Yeah.
trustees, I believe.
Okay, and you can't really take it out now because there's no ramp there, right?
It's not a good enough ramp, I guess.
Not really.
I was gonna say, not really.
I would say, I would ask next meeting, bring it up to the cemetery trustees, let's get a ramp created. I would ask them, not demand, I would just ask them to look into it.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
And Dave is, as the,
And I'll sign you up for the viewing.
yeah, you
Roll
go,
it up.
exactly. What about selling those books? Can we sell those books at
Is that a
the,
viewing inside?
There's no
of it?
reason you can't.
I can't see why not, the funds go into the historical
Everyone
awareness,
inside.
Yeah.
checking account.
We,
We've got
you're the
cases in the
selectmen's rep, right?
closet.
yeah, and we get on that, we get notified when they sell them. They're not sure where they're being sold, cause they're at the library in here,
Yeah,
but
here,
they
they
know
sell
that
them
they're
a
being
lot here.
sold.
but even if it was for a couple hours or busy hours, I think if Roger wants to do it, I think I salute him.
I don't see why not.
I will bring it up at our meeting that we have, when
Okay.
I'm on that committee, and at least bring it up to Don and the rest of them,
Yeah, right.
just let them know that this is out there, and people would like to see it a little bit more often.
He's been selling the book, with not intentions of selling it, but he's been selling the book for us.
And the other thing, I would probably reach out to Roger and invite him to that meeting with me.
I think it would very much
They'd love to
appreciate
know who's selling them, cause we say, oh, look, a couple have gone,
Yeah.
cause the funds go into the account.
Yeah, right.
it. I think it would really appreciate that.
Remember, that committee was set up pretty much to help the, school kids learn about the history of
Yeah.
Dunbarton, so.
Yeah. All good. Thank you. That's all I was just passing it on to
Okay,
my resident.
and we
I'll let
we
him
went
know
over,
when you're-
we went over item number 8 at the same
Dave,
time.
I'll let him know when your next meeting is, so he can just show up, cause that's a
Yeah,
public
that'd be
meeting.
Energy Committee Expo is on here.
Yeah,
The
can you speak
expo,
on that?
the expo is in the fall, they're still finalizing some things. Concord did opt into the expo, I think I spoke to that, at our last meeting. So it's gonna be, the town of Bow, the town of Ware, the town of Dunbarton, and the town of Concord. Hopkinton opted out,
Where will that be held?
and it will be held at the Bow,
Oh, okay.
Elementary School. Not the community center down by the fire, and not the high school,
Okay.
but at their,
Elementary school.
elementary,
Gymnasium?
yep, in that gymnasium.
Oh, cool.
Can you talk on the, fund, the account that they want to set
Yep.
up potentially?
Yep, let me get to that point.
John came by again today, so I told him I'd have you speak.
Of course he did. It was brought to their attention, Dana, who is the, chair of the Energy Committee, had sent an email out to me asking what my thoughts were. Since the Energy Expo, was in Dunbarton previously, we used their account to have people, they took money in for tables, and they had expenses that they did for the expo that were taken out of there. It was almost a wash, where they charged for the tables what it cost for the advertising and some small things. And it was pretty small scale, so it was easy for them to accept money in and take it out, but it was really Dunbarton's money. Dunbarton will be the main, Bo is gonna be the main person running the expo this time, and Concord's involvement's gonna start getting larger, but the money end of it's gonna go through the Dunbarton account. And Dana had asked the question if we could use the same account, and my thought was, let's not mix the Dunbarton money with the expo money for this new venture, because it could be much larger amounts of dollars. And before, they were trying to make it kind of a wash, where the money spent was the money they took in. And at this case, it might be several $1,000s left over. So Lean said underneath her section for the Dunbarton Energy Committee, the fund number 14, she can do a sublisting. It's 14-10-10-02, and she will do a separate 103, I guess, or
Yeah.
04.
03 would be the next
And
category.
she will have that line item where that money taken in is separate from our money. And that way, if there's ever an audit or an accounting of that money, we can do a printout, and at their regular monthly meetings, they can give a treasurer's report on that. Dana was happy with that when I talked about it, and, Lean said she could set it up and she was gonna run it by our.
No, it's just to be a subset of the energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do it currently for the historical awareness, we have an archive account and an, historical awareness account. They're on the same spreadsheet, they're completely separate, and Donna is very close in tracking and watching those two accounts, and it's very, very easy to reconcile.
Did you have a chance to check with our accountant? Did he have any issues?
Not yet, but I don't, because it's not town funds and it's held with the treasurer, it shouldn't be an issue, because that's how we set up the original.
Alright, so,
The thing is, what about the management fee we're charging?
Yeah, so I think it could be, you know, say they're left with $5,000 and there's 4 towns there. Do the towns want the money back for themselves, or do they wanna leave it for the following year? And at some point, there could be 15 or 20,000 in there, and I just want a good accounting of it and keep it separate, and they'll always know their funds are there, and they can, whether it earns interest or whatever else it does.
Another thing they asked me to do for that, because it's going to be a big big event this year. Dana asked if it's possible for him to have an email with the dunbartonnh.org, and I checked, and he said that Microsoft Outlook has email only for $4 a month. And so I authorized, creating energy.committee@dunbartonnh.org. That way, the energy link that they have is, their own website, and it's just a link on the town website. But right now, they're all using their own personal Gmails or AOLs or whatever, and for $4, all of them will have access to that account and be able to communicate with, and advertise, you know, everyone's using the same. It'll be very professionally done, so I think it'll work well for that.
So I would email Dana tomorrow, and John, CC John, and tell him the consensus of the board is okay to go ahead and do that separate
Yep.
account.
Okay.
Right.
Agreed, very consensus, that's, makes it good accounting practice.
October 26th will be the date of their expo. They do know that there is gonna be some stuff going on in town on that date. But the energy expo, they think is enough different that it's not gonna worry about the overlap of people. And if further changes come with the date, I'll let you guys know, cause it's still a work in progress. And now I'm gonna go, back to, the mailbox items. We have a quote here. I met this week with, Corey Walton from Dave Walton's Interior Demo, interior and exterior demo, to remove the concrete at the transfer station. We've been working on this for the last year and a half or so, trying to get a vendor in there that will saw cut and remove the existing dumpster pad under the compactor that we use daily. Saving the steel dumpster guides for, reinstallation, remove and dispose of, with equipment and labor, and install 1/2-inch rebar at a 1 foot on center, and the slab would now be, instead of a 4,000-pound mix with fiberglass, it will be a 5,000-pound mix, reinforced. He came in, to do the, I originally talked to him just about doing the demo, and he says, we pour these all the time, Dave, do you want us to pour it? And I said, that would be awesome if you could do the whole job, cause we've been having trouble finding a demo company and a company to do the pour, and his total is $12,525, and that's for both operations, demoing it, and, we are gonna haul the stuff away. Woody has talked with him about doing the hauling of it away, we're gonna put it in they're gonna put it in the dumpster for him. And that includes the repour with the fiberglass mesh in it at 5,000 pounds. And, I wanted to see if I could get a second motion on this. I know we've been trying, Justin tried 2 or 3 times last year to get this going too, and, we do have a company willing to do both portions of it now, which helps us out.
Twenty-one.
We had reached out to 2 other companies last year, and nobody responded back to us. So I was able to reach Corey and get him to come right over and meet me at the job
We'd
site.
be down for this, maybe about 4 or 5 days,
No, he'll do it on an off day,
and have it all done?
yeah. And one other thing I'd like to tell you guys is, one thing I thought was real nice of him, Corey looked into putting a 16-inch wide pad in there, cause what happens is when they roll them in and out, what happens is where the rollers are in the back of it, not where the big skegs are, but where the rollers are, it notches it down, it sets it down in there, it's down maybe 3 inches in the concrete, Justin's seen it. And, So now the recommendation is to put 16-inch wide steel pad from front to back on there to roll on.
You know, when it steels, 16 wide.
Yeah. With big spikes that stick down in the concrete.
Yeah, anchors, yeah.
Well, Corey looked into it, and just the product is $6,000, he says, if you wanna add it, he says, I'll add $8,000 to it, but he says his recommendation was to go with the better concrete, alright? Fiber mesh and 5,000 pounds instead of 3 or 4 that was used originally, and that pad was there for 22 years already. And he said, for my money, I would replace this pad as you have it and not put the money into the steel.
He wasn't trying to hard sell us.
Yeah, he was saving us $8,000. So, I wanted to point that out, that was his recommendation, I thought it sounded great.
And what about Justin's recommendation last week, railroad,
Railroad ties.
No, that's
steel.
basically, yeah, putting
Yeah.
steel is basically the same thing I said, but
Yeah.
I can only imagine the rollers hitting that or busting the heads off or something.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought this was a good proposal to go with, and I wanna see what you
So
guys'
how's that
thoughts
gonna,
were.
How funded, how's it gonna be funded?
Question, he has a
Through
quote
our-
to remove and dispose, and you just said, we're gonna do it.
No, he's removing it,
Yep,
paying all the labor, and he's gonna put it in our hopper, Woody's hauling our hopper.
okay.
So it'll be just like our regular tonnage that goes out every week.
Do they take that on Ray Road?
That's what it was.
I don't know.
They got a crusher there,
Do they?
Oh,
yeah,
I think they do.
they do.
I thought it was for wood though.
No, they have a crusher also,
No, for, don't they repurpose asphalt and all that stuff?
all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll have Woody
No.
ask him,
Okay.
No, they don't do
You
concrete?
have no issue with this.
no issue, I don't
I've
either.
been in that pit, I go in there frequently,
We
don't
don't wait
do
till
any-
dragging, this is the
it's
drag
all
to full farm.
compost, they reprocess,
Make the motion, I'll
Compost,
just, or I'll
leaves.
second here,
wood,
just
there's
set that bid.
millions of yards of bark mulch there.
What are they doing with the asphalt?
That was to do their their whole yard is reprocessed asphalt product.
Okay.
oh, so that's only a one-time shot that the guy was complaining about.
Yeah, so their whole yards, their asphalt, reprocessed stuff.
Make
And
the
then there's
motion, yeah.
huge piles of bark mulch, there is loam, they do, everybody trucks in leaves, so they do compost there, so there's big rows, windrows of compost, cause it has to sit and get turned, they have a machine that turns it.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we accept the quote from Dave's Walton Interior Demo Incorporated for the amount of $12,525 to remove the dumpster pad and install a new dumpster pad with reinforcements.
It was $12,500.
$12,525.
And I'll second that, the only other thing I wanna add to that is I did reach out to a couple other companies and never heard back. Was it
Yeah, I
almost
knew you
eight or 10 months ago
It falls,
now, and nobody ever reached back out to me, and I had reached out to
it falls within
three different companies.
purchasing policy 3B, and so that you met the requirements of our purchasing policy.
Lean, you can reach out to them and let them know.
I can,
Okay, callable, motion callable.
building
Oh.
maintenance account, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
Bill, motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
That'll be a nice project to get done, that was been on the burner for a while.
What's next, the pavement over there?
That wasn't brought up to me yet, so I can only kill so
Well, yeah.
many things.
Well, yeah,
You
that's
guys are gonna have to
that's
start
that.
helping out.
Well, the thing is, all of, he patched, the hole's been patched. I think Jeff's been down
Also,
there.
Jeff had Advance go down there.
I saw patches on some of the road ruts.
cause John's still working on getting the engineering on the beam for his doors.
Okay.
Okay. We get a letter, an email from the town attorney, giving us some direction, on a code violation, I hope you guys have all read it. If not, read it, it's pretty interesting, I think he's sending us in a real good direction. The building department, Donna and Brian have reached out on how he would like him to handle it, and I think he's given them some real good, information about it. There's too many dwellings on one piece of property here, so if you guys get a chance when you're in, read that real quickly, but, I think he's given real good direction this time, and I think it'll help keep us out of litigation with them. have another, request here, which I'd like to openly discuss here, but, it was a request from Tim Rapp, a resident from Tucker Hill, requesting use of 3 or 4 round tables for his daughter's graduation party. He wanted to pick up the table and chairs on Friday and return them on Sunday. It's my belief as a selectman that these tables shouldn't be going out to individual homes. We did use them for a semi-town event at the church here, and they did just get lent out again this week for a person that had passed away in town that had without really our knowledge, had a funeral service at their home with them. But I would like to take time out and put a stop to this. Apparently came from Don Larson that told them that they had the tables. My recommendation is for us to send Don and Edith out an email from Lean and make sure that they know that, we'd like those to be used for town events.
So it was, town property was let out for a funeral?
It was a person that just had passed away on a motorcycle accident here.
Right, I remember.
They had a local funeral and, they was called into the town office when a few.
Last Friday, so it was a last minute thing, and I wasn't in the office.
Yeah, so that part is done and past us, but on these new ones, and I'd like to address Don and Edith, cause the people seem to be finding out about the table from Don and Edith, so.
Yeah, I don't think we should be lending these out.
I mean, these are made for town events, and if we start misplacing them, or they're broken or come back, we don't have anybody to regulate that or watch over it, so.
We did have some tables we were considering tossing, if you remember the old wooden tables, are we hanging on to those?
We have so far, but I wanna try and do a town use of them if not.
Okay.
But these people can rent a table for $6 if they wanted to, so. Something the town should be doing.
No, you just gotta be careful that, we haven't set a precedent, not we, but someone has set a precedent of sending them out to other
Do you
functions.
think you could send an email out to
Yeah,
Don and Edith in
yeah.
reference to that? And you're gonna let Tim Rapp know as well?
I will tonight, yep.
Okay. We have another request here from a resident, on Mansion Road requesting a park and ice cream truck, for 1.5 hours at the town hall on a weekday evening in July, after the 4th, as a way to say thank you to the community for supporting their businesses. These are 2 people that have local businesses here. One has a Remax business and the other one has a electric business. High Priority Electric and, Remax Energy. And I didn't have trouble with this, cause it was midweek, they were gonna check with Lean about making sure there was no committees meeting in this building on the same night.
I think we could have it on a Selectmen's meeting night, have us,
Yeah, if it's slow like tonight, we could.
Yeah, then you can watch the meeting.
And they are asking permission, so I'd like kind of a consensus or not on that. I don't have an issue with it because
I'm good with it.
they're doing the right things. They said, the longest they're gonna be there is an hour and a half.
Yep,
and just, I would just ask them as a courtesy, make sure you police the trash out afterwards.
yep.
Consensus from the board?
Agreed, just a message about please up the trash,
Yep.
and don't leave the place littered.
And also let
I'll
them
let
know,
Mary
there will
know.
be no public toilets around,
Right,
just so they know.
And then, it says in here that, could you provide them with some nights that this would work for the town schedule, so just let them know.
yep, I will. So if the consensus is okay, then pick up the trash, no public toilets, and hand out the ice cream.
We talked about this earlier, but we did have a complaint from John Cotsees.
Yeah, I think
Consensus.
it's about this.
That's
A resident Gorham Drive about a response about large quantity of water runoff, but we did address that
Yeah.
during the road meeting, so I'll skip over that one.
Apparently it was taken care of, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We also got an email, from our town attorney. We're gonna do a non-meeting with him, meaning it's not open to the public. And what we'll be discussing is proper things in reference to,
Policies.
driveways, class 6 road uses, permission to build on a class 6 road, and getting the planning, zoning, and the select board and the road agent
On the
all
same
on one page, using the proper policies and procedures. And, we've been going back and forth 3 or 4 years here doing different things, and I wanna make sure we speak directly with the town attorney, face to face, get it ironed out for once and go on the correct path. Cause the emails back and forth aren't clear enough when they come back.
Yeah,
So, Lean is still scheduling that meeting,
now, again, just for clarification, you want him present in the building
I do,
with everybody there.
I think it's the only way to do it correctly.
It's almost a legal workshop for
It is, yeah. He said it, doesn't need to be, publicly noticed because it's a consultation with town council.
right.
And, so it can happen in a very short amount of time if everyone's on the same page with the.
Just let us know when you get the times with the
Yeah,
other.
absolutely, cause I do wanna include everybody in the planning, zoning and administrative.
Not everybody, just the chairs.
Right, the chairs, yeah.
We need to have the questions very finite and answered correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We got a notice here, Lean is nice enough to give us a copy of, Eversource. It's a little bit disturbing, they filed with the PUC to increase their distribution rates in 2 steps. First, a temporary increase starting August 1st of 6.57. An average person using the average kilowatts that they have would be $8.42 a month. And the second would be a permanent request after August of 2025. The increase is supposed to be about 13.11 cents per month, which is $9.62. I'm not sure about all of you, but we already pay about 5/8 of our bill is the distribution of that power. And it's frustrating to see the PUC continue to advocate for that. And, one thing I laughed about here, they said that, you know, the percentage of people without power, has been substantially lessened. And then they put after it, not including storms.
Yeah, well.
So, we don't lose our power very often when there's not a storm, so.
Exactly.
I don't know, I've seen areas that, on my poles, I was telling these guys earlier, they replaced the wood poles that have been there for 50, 60, 70 years with brand new poles. 2 years later, they put steel poles in half them, they came back again to the other quarter of steel poles, and I still have some poles that are still wood instead of doing them all at once. It just seems to be like they're
And then nickel and dime is on the assessments for the.
pouring the money out,
Just, you see the dollar amount of improvements at the top?
yeah.
800 and.
$765 million worth of investments.
Improvements.
I just think our PUC needs to pull back on them. I don't know if anybody else wants to read it, but. That's everything I have for town business. I'd like to open it up for public comment one more time.
No, thank you.
You guys are good? Okay, bringing it back to the,
Bob has.
oh, I'm sorry, Bob.
I just wanted to, having read, you know, the Fish and Game newsletter that goes out and a few other articles about open space, it's kinda nice to see that residents in this town that have large parcels of property, put it so it becomes open space under a conservation easement. And to answer one of the selectmen's question about Goffstown, Goffstown had a lot of open space till the builders and developers came in. And then it closed everything out, you know, so they, by the time they got on board with trying to conserve property, they're kinda limited as to what directions that they can get property in. You're probably familiar with the real Martell property,
Yeah,
that goes from his house all the way to Purgatory Pond.
yeah,
And that's gonna get, from what I'm understanding, that's gonna get developed. And then you got a piece of Grady property that goes for a long distance right alongside of that, see, and
yeah.
so.
They did, Real did get his into a conservation commission.
He's passed away,
Yeah, they put in just before,
you know.
so that one is in conservation now.
It is,
Yeah.
because from what I'm understanding, the girl that's living there now, that must be a relative, is looking to develop some of that land.
Believe it or not, she was the nurse that took care of him in the nursing home. She
Cause he
from
was taking
Ware.
care, by the way, that family real, when he was alive, was taking care of Bobby Ordway.
That's right. Yep, so she was the person that was taking care of in the nursing home, or the, care place, the
I
facility.
thought it was a relative, but
No.
she's looking,
No relatives at all.
she's involved with an attorney to look at, developing some of that land.
Yeah, it went by the wayside, Bob, that is in a
Is it?
conservation easement now,
Okay.
luckily.
But that's what I'm saying, is they waited a long time before they did anything. All of these properties were getting developed, and what used to be open space, now it has a house on it.
Yeah, it was stuck in probate for a while, and they were trying to do some things, and it went to the easement. It was supposed
No,
to.
I think it was a great thing, I mean, we don't need Dunbarton to mirror Goffstown.
No, but, and that's what is good, is people are realizing with large parcels that it can be done this way, you know, and there's no harm, no foul, but this community benefits.
Right, the whole community.
Cause we're not gonna be here forever, and we know that, you know, we're on the end of our lives, but there's people coming in, and they probably wanna enjoy the town the same way we enjoy it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, it's definitely looking into the future. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to these.
No,
Nothing for you.
We've already discussed what I had notes
Okay,
on.
Justin?
Nothing.
Mike?
Okay, I'm good, you did anything tonight?
I have a couple of quick things here.
Oh, Dave, I did have, I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
Okay, we'll bring back to Mike.
I'll bring it back to Mike. I did participate in the joint loss management committee this week.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, that one of the things that was, an outstanding thing is that we haven't addressed those light panels. We put new panels in the transfer station, and they just have heat coming in there, and they burn up the guys. The guys can really feel the difference in there. How do can we temporarily block them with landscape fabric? I think it's gotta be non-flammable.
When I did the interview with Woody, he let me know about that, and, I gave it some thought while I was with him, and I came up with an idea. We used to have the translucent panels that let light
Right.
through,
Right,
but they disintegrated, so we did the polycarbonate.
right.
They make a white opaque looking panel,
Yep.
still lets light through. We don't have to throw the other ones out, what we can do is take the screws out, put the white one on top, screw it back down. We don't have to hang anything inside. I checked, the panel cost is about $70 each.
With installation, probably a little bit more, yeah.
It just costs 70 for the panel.
Yeah, that's
And
reasonable.
then we'll have our worker,
Greg Miller,
Greg Miller, put them in,
what are they called, white opaque?
white opaque panels. And, 12 footers. And I could get my office to deliver them to, the transfer station. If the board is in consensus of that.
Yes, it's been in discussion for 2 years now.
Yeah.
I think it's time we move out on it, that's a
Discussion
reasonable.
complaints.
Well, the workers are getting burnt up in there in the
Okay.
summer. There are no complaints in the winter, but in the summer.
They'll
And
be
the other thing I
complaining
want-
next week.
The other thing I would like to get delivered, and while we're on that subject of the transfer station, is the 2 sheets of plywood, to move the piano upstairs. And I'll have them drop there, cause Woody's guys can come up and help me move the piano. And they can bring the plywood with them and carry them upstairs.
Move the piano upstairs.
No, the piano's already upstairs.
Right.
But to roll it over the new floor to put it in place,
You don't wanna put the grooves in?
no, we're gonna hopscotch the plywood. In fact, when it parks there, I'm gonna leave a sheet of plywood underneath it.
Oh, that
When
would
they
be
park
a,
it?
Because they got a guy coming to tune it, and they're gonna be pulling it out, and,
but you're gonna leave it in one of the storage rooms or something?
no,
Underneath it.
Underneath it.
Yeah,
it's
but
underneath
won't
it.
people bump their toes on that, or,
They won't do it twice,
Well, it's only temporary, right?
yeah.
oh, well, it's temporary, okay.
Okay, that's,
But they're gonna move it out to clean it, and they're gonna move it out to tune it, so. It's very, I mean, it's not nothing you wanna move twice, I can tell you that.
Betcha.
the other concerns, were brought up, just, they're looking at some of the walkways that are
Oh,
cracked.
we're good with that.
Good with that?
No, just kidding.
No. Some of the walkways up here are cracked, and we wanna get some of the town offices, the walkways are repaired.
Yeah, Jeff was supposed to include that in one of his down projects or small
Yeah.
projects.
I was gonna say, yeah, that was a Jeff.
And
Yeah.
Pete was given the order to remind him, cause he stepped in the meeting
Yeah.
on his behalf, so.
Oh, so it's been taken care of.
It's gonna be, can you?
I'll send him another, I'll
Okay.
give him another reminder.
Remind Pete.
Mine Pete, mine Jeff,
Okay.
Mike said,
That's been a reoccurring.
But the thing is,
thing.
overall, it's, I thought thought the joint loss, management committee was centered on the mission.
Good.
And,
They didn't get off to other
No,
subjects.
it was
Good.
on the mission, so I just saw the report back, and I don't think there was any tangents.
Good, I'm glad we put you on.
Yeah,
I got him, kept him centered.
I sat in the back, I just listened, no, it was a good meeting, I thought it was,
Can I just bring up one more thing?
go ahead.
You were off the subject already.
No. We have a new plant, a new tree in the front of the office,
Oh,
in
yeah,
case
saw
you didn't see it.
It's on
We
Facebook.
had the dedication of, well, that's what we chose on Jeannie Zimbrowski's behalf to get her a tree, and her husband was agreeable to that. The garden club picked it up, paid the excess over the town contribution, and, it's now on the ground, we're watering it
And they
3-4
didn't ask
times
the
a day.
selectmen to plant it there?
No, you gave us the okay already.
No.
Yes, you did.
And we have another tree that's outstanding too, where we have to
Mike,
get.
you gotta bring that up again.
We're never gonna get that.
I'm looking at the half-dead one
Oh
out
my
there every
gosh,
meeting we
is
come
that
to.
gonna come back?
Alright, you guys remember I called, who did I call, the heating company?
Side?
Brookside, last time we were here.
Yeah.
They did come and showed Lean the proper way to adjust those thermostats when the power does go out and come back on
And
flat.
Mary and I did an extensive trial run several times, and I think we've got notes that will help us, be able to set it.
So that issue is taken care of, and while I had them on the phone, I told them I would like to address bringing some of that heat from down in our basement to that second floor, at some time, and then also talk to them about, adding to our Mitsubishis to cool that up there at some point.
Okay.
So I've got those in the works.
I haven't got too many complaints, you know,
No.
no one's gonna be perfect, so, I mean, I thought the temperatures up there, most of the events I went to up there this past year were reasonable.
You know, and we cracked the windows on the front side of that, and the breeze that came through the building, the doors were left open, and I opened up the ones on the new addition, and the breeze that came through from that side was just great. One thing is, and I don't know how we wanna handle this, I think we talked about it maybe a little bit last time. Those replacement windows up there are Harvey windows, and the balances need some repair to them.
I have a note on my desk.
And we're gonna call Harvey and try that, right?
Yep.
If that doesn't work, we'll probably have our handyman take them and, cause there's numbers on the glass, and if you call the rep, they can normally walk you through taking care of all that, but I'd like to get them so when they pull them up, they stay up, when they pull down, they stay down, and they're not falling down.
If we do that at some point, we should consider doing this building as well.
Well, this is a whole different type, this is a wood sash, there's no,
Oh, okay. They're
those
not
have
the same-
strings, those have strings and those balances
Those
there.
are plastic inserts, those,
No.
or, they're different, okay.
Nope.
That's a whole different thing with ropes and blocks and tackles and strings, so.
Yeah.
And they're authentic, and we have panels on, we don't even take them off for most.
No.
We should leave well enough alone on that. We can't call anybody for the block and tackles anymore. So that's all I have for there,
Maybe
we've
some
got
old
most of the
guys.
calls in, and
Good,
They
thank you.
say
We'd have to
with,
call a boat guy with the old sailboat.
alright, so I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn at 8:53. All in favor?
Aye.